All right, stop me if you've heard this one before. A Republican lawmaker in Idaho has been told they're not Republican enough. We've highlighted this with elected Republicans from Bonner to Bonneville counties. Representative Stephanie Mickelson from Idaho Falls she even told us she wasn't allowed to run as a Republican in the upcoming election for not following the party platform closely enough. This time, it wasn't a censure. However, the Ada County Republican Central Committee did issue its quote-unquote disapproval of Representative James Petzke. Not so much of him as a person, but more of his actions. Once again, it begs the question, are lawmakers subject to their constituents or to their party? Joe Paris asked that question of Representative Petzke.
Late last week, the Ada County Republican Central Committee passed a resolution declaring their strong disapproval of the actions of Representative James Petzke.
I found out about it when I got tagged on social media that night. They didn't give me any heads up. They didn't ask me for my opinion. They didn't ask me to, defend myself or to say, what my side of the story was.
Meridian lawmaker Representative James Petzke was labeled in the resolution as someone who joined with Democrats to derail the budget reform process. It also implied that he broke his word and did not have a strong fiscally conservative approach to government.
A lot of what was in there is just not factually accurate. They just didn't get the facts right. And if they had, come to me beforehand and we could have had a dialogue about it, then maybe some of that could have gotten cleared up. But they didn't have an interest in doing that. Obviously, they just kind of did it in the dark behind the scenes. So
lawmakers battled through how to do budgets in the early part of the session. A new budget process had some concern about what a maintenance budget was. Representative Petzke says that he questioned some things, but that a full process played out democratically.
I ended up carrying 17 budgets across the House floor under the new process, which I think was more than anybody else. So I obviously worked within the new process that we have and did so successfully and got a lot of budgets across the House floor.
Because there are times at the State House where, lawmakers, don't get their way.
Right.
You don't just quit and go home. You just keep going.
No, I mean, we won, quote, in committee, and then we lost on the House floor, and so we went forward with the process as it was, and that ended up working out. Despite all of the noise that happened this session, despite all the drama that you always hear about, the outcomes for everyday Idahoans were fantastic out of this session.
So, what's the feeling like when your Central Committee passes paperwork on your work?
Well, one side of me chuckled a little bit, and it was hard to take it seriously, honestly, because I know what they're doing is they're just making noise so that they can fundraise, and that's fine. If they want to do that, so be it. The other side of it that I think is really unfortunate, honestly, is I think it reflects poorly on our party. It reflects poorly on our party when we do things like this to ourselves. It's just not a good look, and it's really sad to see it, honestly, happening to the Republican Party.
Petzke is the latest Republican lawmaker in Idaho to have a Central Committee pass a resolution about them. Some resolutions have certainly gone further than strong disapproval, but still, it isn't a message that Petzke is worried about.
At the end of the day, I serve my constituents. I serve the voters of District 21. I do not serve a party Central Committee, especially, the Ada County Central Committee also, it's worth noting, it's not my district. My district is only a small part of Ada County, so more than 90% of the people who would have voted on this resolution the other night, they're not even my constituents because Ada County has 11 districts in it.
Who do lawmakers vote for? Do they vote for their party, themselves, their Central Committee? Does it depend to each lawmaker?
I mean, I can only speak for myself personally, but when I'm taking votes on the House floor and committee, I'm voting for my constituents. That's my only job. It's in the title, right? It's representative. I represent the voters of District 21.
So I know you've been wondering, when will lawmakers be back? Brian, they'll be back to work on Wednesday. They're expected to finish up quickly after they get back to work on Wednesday, but it's one of these things of who knows. Also, by the way, in that resolution that the Ada County Central Committee wrote about Representative Petzke, they also essentially said, hey, if there's any other GOP or Republican governing bodies that want to reprimand Representative Petzke,
yeah, we'd be in favor of it.
We're on board.
Yeah.
Representative Petzke says he has not heard from anyone.
And all these other instances of representatives and senators being called on the carpet by their committees, they've had the opportunity to come in and kind of explain themselves.
Right.
He did not?
Representative Petzke told me this afternoon that he found out on social media, and one of his frustrations is that he believes the Ada County Republican Central Committee didn't even understand really exactly what they wrote. So he would have liked an opportunity, but instead, appreciate his time and sharing his thoughts here on the 208.
Again, not a censure, but just a strong disapproval.
We didn't like it.
All right, thanks, Joe.